Welcome back to our channel. If you're as surprised as we are that our channel is back, then that's it, that's all. I mean, what can I say? We did not expect to get this channel back. Back in mid-November, YouTube had just magically deleted our channel one day after posting a video called "The End of the Human Species, Big Tech's Transhumanism Agenda." And all the video spoke about was an interview with a man by the name of Yuval Harari, who discusses in his book the idea that, humanity is advancing its technological understanding and its AI at such a breakneck speed that we're soon going to be creating humans that are unrecognizable to the species we have today. And basically we had that discussion. We talked about how, we're seeing a lot of different advancements go on over at DARPA. We see different things happening in the sphere of big tech whereby, things are just developing and they're impacting the way humanity's lives function. They impact what it means to be human. We're seeing this sort of transhumanism crossover, and it's all happening through Silicon Valley and government and extremely wealthy people, moving these things forward. But at no point is humanity being asked, are the masses being asked the question, is this what you want? Is this really where we want to go with things? Like, what's the deal here? And so that was basically the topic of discussion. As soon as we uploaded that video, it took about 30 minutes, and we got a warning saying that this video went against the COVID vaccine misinformation policy. Now, of course, this was our third strike. The previous two strikes we had were exactly the same. Your video went against COVID vaccine misinformation policy, even though it was entirely, the previous videos were entirely journalistic and had very little to do with misinformation claims. We've read the YouTube misinformation policy for COVID many times to understand it, to know what we shouldn't say, what we should say, how to cover things journalistically. Not a single strike we've got on our channel over the course of time went against anything against the policy, and that's very objective. And going back to it, this particular transhumanism one, we didn't even talk about COVID. Wasn't even on the agenda, so to speak. And so we appealed. We appealed in every single case with all the strikes that we got on YouTube. Every single time we were met back within half an hour with a response saying, "We've reviewed your appeal and we're just going to keep deleting your account, or we're going to keep deleting the video. It went against the misinformation policy. You're wrong." And this seems like a very automated process. It's probably not even a real human that's reviewing the content. It's just a bot, and it's just it's just an all-out, if you say something and you said the word COVID, you're gone. That's kind of what it feels like. So when we put out this transhumanism one, what ended up happening was same sort of thing. We appealed the video. They said, no, too bad. So we appealed the decision to remove our account. And within, I think it was 2 or 3 hours, we got a response back saying, we've reviewed your appeal for the deletion of your account, and we align with the initial decision to delete your account. We're very sorry if this causes any inconvenience, but you went against the policies too many times. Once again, this entire response felt like a bot. It did not feel like there was any human process involved. So again, it's kind of this feeling of like, oh, well, YouTube's going to make these decisions, and we have no say over what happens, and you can't even talk to a human about it. So I then got the contact of somebody here in Toronto who works at YouTube and who handles a lot of partnerships. Sent him an email saying, hey, I'm positive, I can show you, I can prove to you that YouTube has wrongly deleted not only the 3 videos that we got strikes on, but has also now wrongly deleted our account, and nothing goes against the information policy. Please, give me a moment to chat. He did not respond. So we did not hear back from him. And then suddenly, pretty well I think it was almost 2 months later, we magically got an email from YouTube which said, suddenly you're getting your account back. Hi, The Pulse. We're pleased to let you know that we've recently reviewed your YouTube account, and after taking another look, we can confirm that it is not in violation of our terms of service. We have lifted the suspension of your account, and it is once again active and operational. We'd like to thank you for your patience while we reviewed this case. Our goal is to make sure content doesn't violate our community guidelines so that YouTube can be a safe place for all, and sometimes we make mistakes trying to get it right. We hope you understand, and we're sorry for any inconvenience or frustration this has caused. If you have further questions, please feel free to reach out to us here. Sincerely, the YouTube team. So you can sense that it's kind of a shock to get an email like this, because they initially had got it wrong 4 times before they got it right. Now they're claiming, and again, this doesn't appear to be from any human. This seems like it's a very canned response, and it's signed the YouTube team. What happened, right? Like, why all of a sudden did somebody actually go review the account? Because, you know, on our account now, we have no strikes. We have no strikes on the account. So they removed all of the community guideline strikes that they previously gave to us, which we believed were all wrong. Why did it take going through strike, account deletion before potentially a human actually looked at it, right? It's why I'm sharing this is that, you know, this is the frustrating nature of operating on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, it's hard to reach the people that really need to hear information to open them up, right? Not a lot of people who need to hear different perspectives are on things like Rumble and Odyssey and BitChute. Those places are typically a lot of the same kind of people, a lot of people that really need to hear this information that are kind of curious, say, hey, but something might be wrong with this COVID narrative. They're not rushing to alternative platforms. They're sticking on YouTube. And it's really just a lot of what you might call the converted who are on a lot of these alternative platforms. So, you know, for us, it's always been very important to maintain our position on YouTube. And, you know, just seeing this kind of thing was kind of bizarre. You know, to be honest, like, are we happy that it's back? Sure. Do we know when it'll be deleted next? No idea. In fact, we kind of almost expect to some extent that it's just going to happen again because there's no rhyme or reason to what's going on here. You know, we ran our Collective Evolution account, which still does exist on YouTube. And we, you know, in 13 years, we never got a single strike. So we don't understand how, you know, the same stuff we're saying over there, and yet now we're saying stuff over here, and, you know, this account gets deleted within months, and that account's been around for almost 13 years. There's just no rhyme or reason to anything. It's a very frustrating process, but it's back. So we're going to get back to some regular programming. The other thing I'll quickly throw in is that, you know, obviously we for those who've been following us pretty closely, things slowed down a lot for us in December, and kind of in the first half of January here, we're still producing some written content. Probably haven't seen me in a little while on video. At the tail end of December, I was actually kind of midway through December, ended up getting COVID, lasted about 10 days. Wasn't too crazy, but, you know, definitely was an illness that slowed us down. You know, you had fever, you had the chills, you had, you know, headaches, all this kind of stuff. My biggest thing was I couldn't sleep for almost like 7 days. It was pretty challenging just from the sleep point of view, because I would get these fevers at night, and when you can't sleep, you can't really get better too easily. So I eventually caved, and I took some like fever medication just to help the fever go down. Then suddenly I could sleep, and suddenly I started to get better really, really fast. Didn't really use much treatment at all, just kind of some supplements, and, you know, it was what it was. But you know, in the process of that, you know, I was really thinking a lot about, like, you know, what are we doing with this COVID narrative? Like, what's happening? What is going to make an impact? What actually needs to happen? What do people need to hear? What is waking people up, and what is keeping people asleep? Like, you know, you reflect when you take a time, you know, a long period away from what we're doing. You get this moment to really reflect on, like, what is actually working, what is actually making an impact. And obviously we believe, you know, pretty strongly in this idea of, you know, creating information that can reach across gaps, that can reach people that are curious but have not yet really explored a lot of what's going on. And we see that, you know, our current work is having that impact. However, you know, it feels like with where we're headed with this whole COVID narrative, we need the masses to kind of come to an understanding of something. So much of what is happening is just being driven by a mass acceptance. And the more, or I could say the less there is a mass acceptance, you know, the more things are going to move forward. So, you know, we decided kind of at the tail end of the year and coming into the beginning of January to put a lot of focus and attention here in Canada, because we have other people in the United States that are doing what they're doing with regards to this. But we decided to do a number of freedom of information requests with not only the Ontario government, but with the Canadian government, to explore some very key questions that we believe the government is hiding a lot of information on, and are probably talking behind the scenes about how to deal with certain things. So this is things like, you know, how are we going to deal with, you know, the treatments and the discussion of treatments out there, because we believe pretty strongly that the governments are hiding treatments. You know, things like dealing with the unvaccinated, dealing with you know, doctors that are, you know, here in Canada that are speaking out. We do believe that there's agendas to smear these doctors, to you know, cast doubt on them. And we think that if we can show people the government's own words very similar to some of the stuff we're seeing come out of the United States with regards to freedom of information requests. But if we can show that governments are conspiring to do things that are not in the best interest of the people, that's going to be extremely impactful. So we've started putting together a plan and putting together a lot of energy into this freedom of information project that we want to start doing here in Canada to gain the information. We have a lot of very specific requests that we're going to take, very specific angles that we're going to take that we think is going to produce some unique findings that are going to really kind of make an impact on telling a story. And we have this vision for that unfolding in a meaningful way. With that, these requests oftentimes can get very expensive because you're getting into potentially thousands of pages, and you got to pay per page that you get from the government. So if you want to support us, if you feel this effort of going down this route of providing information to people that's directly from the government, it's their words, something that you can't run away from when it is the government's words. If you believe in that idea and you want to support us in that, I've put a link down in the description to help donate. We're collecting any support we can to help fund these efforts. But for the most part, we're here in 2022 now to get back into things here with YouTube for as long as it lasts. We're going to continue doing the work that we've always done. Obviously within our membership, which is a whole other thing you can check out. We're focused a lot on helping to maintain this sort of heart-centered, this grounded, open-minded, curious, and playful space. So we do a lot of content in there focused not only on information and making sense of information together, but also how to stay heart-centered, how to stay in this grounded space with practical transformational tools. So that's a lot of what we got going on in there. But we're just going to keep bringing this approach, because that's really what it's about. We think that this is going to take a little while to get better, but we need to be active, we need to be engaged, and we need to do something. Can't keep sitting back as a collective per se, and just kind of waiting for this thing to go away. We got to get engaged, and that's our focus. It's always been our focus, and we're going to try and push that a little further here in 2022. Thanks so much for sticking around. Thanks so much for being here. Again, this account is back, so you can look out for more content in the coming weeks as we start to ramp things up here again. That's it. That's all.